Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Sunset Concerts. For those of you who are here as part of the Arts Council Sunset Concert audience, thank you for coming to see us here at St. Mary's. For those of you who are part of the St. Mary's audience, thanks for being in your own space, but attending an Arts Council Sunset Concert. We do these concerts typically in the Arts Council Gallery, which is located in the Courthouse Cultural Center in downtown Stewart, on the second Tuesday of the month, October through May. And we host a variety of local musicians and talent, some young, some older, all across the board, and bring these concerts free to the community for the benefits and enjoyments of your listening pleasure. And isn't it wonderful that we can be together in a space listening to live music again? Yay. This is our first. We've been doing primarily virtual concerts since the beginning of the Sunset Concert Series this year. So this is our first live concert. So thank you for being a part of that. The Arts Council runs programs in the Courthouse Cultural Center Gallery, as I mentioned. Our next exhibition there is one of my favorites of the year. It's the Marvin Cohn 35th Annual High School Juried Art Show. We bring the best of the best high school students into the gallery space. Part of our contribution to them is to have all the two-dimensional works framed professionally and hung in the gallery. It is always a remarkable show. We have all 5 local high schools participating, so that's Jensen Beach, Martin County, South Fork, Clark Advanced Learning Center, and the Pine School. The students receive cash awards. They're judged by professional artists, and many of their pieces are purchased by dignitaries in the community, such as the superintendent of schools, the director of the Elliott Museum, the supervisor of elections, each principal. And this is generously sponsored by people in our community, some of whom are in this room, so thank you for that support. And it's a pleasure that we bring that to the forefront every year. This summer we'll be working with the Martin Artisans Guild to present local artists in the gallery space, and we'll come back in full swing in October with our season of exhibitions. We are also working on a passion project to consider bringing a larger cultural center and arts campus to this community, to bring working artists together with recital hall space, event space, and other wonderful things for the continued growth of our vibrant arts community. We are hoping to locate that at the historic Stewart High School building, which is right down the street here on East Ocean. We have a team of construction experts looking at the space for us to determine its feasibility for doing so. So we are at something we've been working on for about the last 4 or 5 years, and it's finally starting to take action, and we'll know soon whether or not this is going to be a project for our community. So watch for updates on that. And really, with no further ado, other than to say, because I always forget this, I'm Nancy Turrell, in case you don't know me. I'm the Executive Director of the Arts Council and the CEO of the Arts Foundation for Martin County, and couldn't be more happy to be here in St. Mary's Sanctuary giving you Brandon Glick and Paul Hamady for our Sunset Concerts. Thank you.
Well, thanks again for being here. I'm Brandon Glick. I'm the music director here at St. Mary's. And I'm sure many of you knew that tune. It comes from Beethoven's great Ninth Symphony, and that was the kind of hymn arrangement version of it. Joyful, joyful, we adore thee. Well, we'll be doing some Beethoven later on, where Paul will. But the rest of this program is going to be French. So Beethoven, of course, was a great German composer. Well, the next piece is the Dolly Suite by Gabrielle Fari. And it consists of 6 short movements. These were a collection of pieces written for piano duet. All of the pieces were written between 1893 and 1896 to mark the birthdays and other events in the life of Dolly, the daughter of the composer's mistress. So Fari gave each of the 6 movements a descriptive, sometimes kind of whimsical title. So the first one, Berceuse, or Lullaby, marks Dolly's first birthday. The second, Meow, written for Dolly's second birthday. Now, the title actually does not refer to a pet cat, as it sounds like, but it actually is Dolly's attempts to pronounce the name of her elder brother, Raoul. The third one, Les Jardins de Dolly, Dolly's Garden, composed as a present for New Year's Day, 1895. And then the next one, Kitty Valse. This fourth piece is no more feline in its reference than meow. Actually, instead of a cat, Dolly's pet dog was named Ketty. And in Fari's manuscript, the piece is called Ketty Valse. It's just turned into Kitty. Now the next one, Tenderness. And this is a beautiful lyrical piece in more of a modern style, making use of chromaticism. And then finally, we end with a Spanish dance, a lively and picturesque piece of scene painting. And a lot of French composers in this time period, you have this little French flair in many of them. So that'll come later when we play a piece by Claude Debussy. So I hope you enjoy Dolly Suite.
Thank you, thank you. So before we continue, I want to kind of answer a question that's probably in your mind. A lot of people ask us, how do you do that? Getting 4 hands, 4 feet, etc., at the piano. And it truly is, it's a dance, it's a choreography. You would not believe the notes we have written in our score. You know, move your hand, you turn the page, do this, do that. It's quite complicated. And then there's that added complication of somebody's in my space, or I'm in somebody else's space. Because when you're a solo artist, you're used to having the keyboard and the piano all to yourself. So it's a lot of fun, and it's a bit of a challenge, but we enjoy it. And again, thank you all for coming. Now for this next piece, it really needs no introduction, so I'm going to give you a little bit of background about the composer. We have mentioned Beethoven earlier. As you know, last year marked his 250th birth anniversary, and many of the world's scheduled performances and celebrations were canceled due to the pandemic. So we're kind of doing a little of that celebration this year. In my opinion, I think this is one of his most famous, if not most recognizable, of his sonatas. It was composed in 1801 in the key of C sharp minor and was titled Sonata Quasi una Fantasia, or a sonata in the manner of a fantasy. Most of us, however, know it, particularly the first movement, as the Moonlight Sonata. And the nomenclature is attributed to the German music critic Ludwig Rellstab, who likened the effect of the first movement to that of moonlight shining upon Lake Lucerne. Moonlight Sonata, first movement.
Well, that was the famous Takata by Charles-Marie Vidor, the great French organist and composer. And I decided to play that because it is Eastertide. So this is the 50 days of celebrating Easter. And that piece is traditionally played throughout the world as a postlude on Easter Sunday. So I thought it appropriate. It's one of my favorite pieces. Well, thank you so much for having Paul and I. I really appreciate it. Thank you to Nancy. Thank you to Marie Juriet, who couldn't be here tonight. And also, you haven't seen him, but thank you to Tom Winter, who's running all this stuff. And thank you for joining us. And thank you to those online as well. We have one more piece, and this is by Claude Debussy. It is his Petite Suite. It was composed between 1886 to 1889. It was first performed on the 2nd of February, 1889, by the composer himself, Debussy, and the pianist and publisher Jacques Durand, if you know that label. It was performed at a salon in Paris. It's similar to the Dolly Suite, 4 short movements. I'm going to butcher the French yet again. En bateau, sailing. And so we have this kind of watery movement. You can kind of sometimes feel the boat rocking back and forth. Then the second movement, Cortege. Now this, looking up the word cortege, it says a solemn procession, especially for a funeral, or a person's entourage or retinue. So it's not very funeral-like, or at least not like many that I've been to. It's kind of a lively, fun piece. Well, the final 2 movements then are dance movements. So we have a minuet, and then it ends with a ballet. And there will be 1 or 2 movements that I mentioned before, that Spanish influence. You'll hear a little bit of that Spanish sound coming through. So here's Claude Debussy's Petite Suite. Thanks again for inviting us. Thanks to Paul, and thank you to you all. Thank you for coming. Appreciate it. Have a good evening.
Nancy's going to say a few words.
No, it's no problem. So I hope maybe you'll come back and see us at the Courthouse Cultural Center. Second Tuesday in May, we'll have some youth from the Treasure Coast Youth Symphony. And a big shout out, although she's not here, to Dr. Marie Juriat Beamish for creating this concert series for us and bringing these fine musicians to our listening pleasure. Thank you.